for waiting. Now then, we'll go ahead with that story of the Derby. Your contestants were all in Los Angeles, and you're ready to go. All right, let's take it there.
Okay. Well, we departed from Los Angeles at the old Ascot Speedway on March the 4th, 1928, with approximately 250 contestants. And our first stop was at Pomona, which was only about, as I recall, 15 or 18 miles a lap. And I came in, I believe, the 12th or 13th on the first day's lap. And our time was clocked.
No, don't tell you. For the first day, the time was clocked by the amount of time on that first day. Is that the way it was counting by the day?
Yes.
Day.
Each separate day, each runner's time was clocked. What?
And you went from morning until evening. You ran all day.
No, we had to, the management laid out a certain distance for us to make each day.
Oh, yeah.
And we were checked
Point to point.
point to point. And
your time kept on each
lap.
Okay. And at Pomona, you were in the top 12 across the team.
Came in 12th or 13th. Last 18, let it all done with. The second day of the run got us out of the valley of California up on the desert, and the weather even that early in the year was very warm, and the management under the arrangements, we'd start the day's run at 4 o'clock and in the morning and try to reach or get in our required miles before 10 or 11 o'clock and avoid the running in the hottest part of the day. I see, let's start it off. We averaged 35 miles a day. And of course, some days were shorter and some days longer. We had some days as short as 20 miles, and then some days as long as 50. And we followed, the route followed 66th from Los Angeles to Chicago. And needless to say, we encountered all types of weather. In the desert, we picked up sunburns and were bothered with the heat. And then we got into the mountains, and it was rather cool. And then as we began to approach the plains in New Mexico and Amarillo, we ran into snowstorms, really sleet storms, and
after the desert,
and a variety of weather, severe weather from one point to was really kind of took the toll on the runner. And then as we approached Oklahoma, that was long in the middle part of April. We'd have some rainy days, have to be required to wear slicker. And as we went on up to Missouri, it began to get a little cooler as we drifted north and encountered a lot of rain up through there. And we passed on through St. Louis, and then on to Chicago. And then from Chicago, we took a route, didn't follow any any particular highway or designated highway all the way to New York. We was dodged from one highway to another, but went principally through Cleveland, Ohio, and Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, and as the upper part of kind of the southern part of New York State, and then dropped down into the edge of New Jersey. Incidentally, the fellow that was in second position at that time to me, Johnny Salo, his home was in Passaic, New Jersey, and we spent one night there, and the rumors had got started or persisting that perhaps with the feeling around there that someone might try to bump me with a car, since I was ahead of Johnny Salo and he was in second position, and for 2 or 3 days I was assigned police protection as a precautionary measure. But we spent the night in Passaic, and then the next day, we ran, I believe, about 15 miles to the 42nd Street Ferry, and that's where the large crowds were. The entire distance, the police had to clear a path for the runner, and we took the 42nd Street Ferry and went across to Manhattan Island, and then made the jog on into Madison Square Garden. And to my recollection, we did 100 laps around Madison Square Garden to conclude the race.
100 laps.
And I had the best time and got first place. Johnny Salo was second, and I led him by approximately 15 hours. And then a Canadian was in third place by the name of Philip Vanville. He came in third, and he did a lot of walking in the race. In fact, he told us in the beginning that he could do nothing but walk and win the race. But he lost considerable time, and at the midpoint, about halfway across the country, he said, I can't do it. I'm going to have to begin to run," and he did. He was a long, tall fella and could really walk. And the fourth place went to a black fella by the name of Eddie Gardner from Seattle. And I'm convinced that if he would have been consistent and paced himself and probably taken a little bit of care of himself, that he could have no doubt won the race. But he would run a very good race one day, and then he'd drift into town and who would be entertained by his friends. And the next day, he didn't make a very good showing and he would naturally lose some time. And they were 10 money, and an Irishman by the name of Mike Joyce from Cleveland, Ohio. He won, he was in 5th place. And I might mention that I led in and out of the race many times. I was in and out of first position many times during the trip. But the race kind of settled down between Peter Gavuzzi of England and myself, and he was about 6 hours in the lead of me, which was very hard. I wasn't having any luck of closing the gap.
Was that before you got to Chicago or after?
Well, that was after we'd passed through Chicago, and this happened in Ohio. He developed some trouble with his teeth and got sick and dropped out of the race, which, as I say, he and I were considerable ahead of ahead of the field. And after he dropped out, that left me with a commanding lead. But this John Salo he was in second place, about, I believe, 25 hours behind me. And he first started out, made some effort to close the gap. But after he had extended himself and ran hard for a few days, he told me, well, Payne, you're letting me take a few minutes away from you, but you're hanging on to that lead, and I'm going to just take their second money and not push it, be able to close. And of the entire trip, I was only sick, I'd say feeling real bad one day during the whole trip. And that was out when we first arrived in there with passing through Arizona.
Okay.
And I had tonsillitis. And I'm of the opinion that it was brought on by breathing the alkali. And I felt real bad, but that day I didn't run any, I just walked. And even rested took a couple of rests on, laid down on the road.
You probably gained that.
And the next day I was quite a bit recovered, and I'd been treated for the tonsillitis, and it was clearing up. And then 2 or 3 days I was back at, put it full speed or full power.
Did you have any thoughts of perhaps you might not finish this anytime in the...
No, I had. No, I didn't.
Determined and you...
Well, I was convinced that I would finish, I could finish, and would. And Derek.
Now tell us about the crowds along the way. Weren't they always
we had
warned that you were coming?
Oh, yeah. All the papers were, they gave it good coverage, and we had big crowds even out in the desert and out in sparsely populated states of Arizona and New Mexico, and the people, many of them would come as far as 100 miles from each side of 60 states to witness the race.
Mm-hmm.
And
at your checkpoints then, they always...
Oh, yeah, the checkpoints, and even they'd see crowds clustered along out on the road, out on the roads where this would need a covering that day.
Did they have autograph seekers then?
Oh, definitely. Oh, it's plenty.
Well, now can you have it? Young people would respond to a thing like that.
Well, Yeah, of course, no doubt, due to the traffic and congested conditions, that even if someone wanted to conduct a race like that in the Prezi Bay, it would made it be too hazardous.
The highway that they killed, man.
Yeah, we had 2 or 3 runners that was all injured slightly by a car coming bumping into them.
Yeah.
Out there.
You want to run and what? Your highway.
Well, yes. Oh, we had that. And if the shoulders of the road were in any condition at all, we'd take we'd follow the inside.
But tell us about the condition of your feet on that run. How did you fare for them? And it seems to me like they would just litter and give out.
Well, I didn't have any trouble at all with my feet and very few blisters. I rubbed my legs down with olive oil overnight, and I always kept clean, or if any gravel or anything got in my shoe or anything, it was immediately removed, and
Abrasion.
and I kept my shoes well repaired. I mean, not worn on one side and the heel, then so they wouldn't
Did
be.
you run in leather shoes or cloth?
Well, they were a type of, they were leather shoes,
Okay.
and they were made by the Spalding people, and they had a rather substantial sole and an upper. I mean, it wasn't like a low cut. It was a shoe. Yeah. Right.
I just wondered, how many pairs did you wear out?
Well, I had 4 or 5, 6 pair on the trip, and if we'd run into a particular or some type of road that had a lot of gravel in it, I'd occasionally change over to a kind of a heavier shoe and a different type of a shoe.
Then after your 100 laps, when you got to Madison Square Garden, you came into the arena. Tell us about the presentation and the big money and the first money that we get.
Well, well, the race just closed, but we weren't paid immediately.
Oh.
This promoter, C.C. Kyle, he said that he needed to go over the time again and check it, which, looking back, I think was probably a dodge. From all the information, he didn't have the money. But anyway, a week later, they did pay us, and in connection with another sporting event they were having in Madison Square Garden, and they had a ceremony and gave us money. But the thinking is that he didn't have the money, and some of the leading sports promoters in New York did, particularly Tex Rickard, more or less bailed him out.
Hey.
That's the room.